Hello everyone and welcome back to Milo Farms. Well, every time I talk to people and talk about having goats and taking care of goats, and people always ask, what do I do for taking care of them? Well, a while back we did a wintertime goat care video, and today we have a very short summertime goat care video. When I first got the goats, to me it was really overwhelming, and I thought, oh, this is just going to be so complicated and so many things going on and so many things to deal with, and you read all these horror stories online and how difficult it is and how sick they always are and how they're always dying and all those things. And I never really had that experience. I've had a few goats get sick, have different issues, but what I did is kind of figured out a routine and a system with them, and with everything I have I try to make it as the most automated and automatic and simple as I can make it. So what we did is the first year basically that I had the goats, it was kind of complicated figuring things out, what worked for me. But what I ended up with for the summertime was really quite simple. So the goats still have their calf hutches that they use in the wintertime, but 90% of the time in the summer, unless we have a rainstorm or something like that, they really never use them. Their favorite thing to do is just kind of sit alongside the barn in the shade and relax when they're not out eating. Early in the spring, as soon as the grass starts to grow, I stop giving them any sort of hay or anything extra like that. The pasture that I have here goes back that way, goes over here around the shop, and has plenty of space for them. And as long as I keep it well irrigated on my watering day once a week, they have plenty of food all summer long, and usually lasts until at least Thanksgiving, if not a little bit after that. Then they also have free choice minerals that they can have anytime they want them. And then the easiest thing that I found, and the best thing that I found for summertime, was the small water dish that I have. So when I first started with the goats, I had a bucket that had a sprinkler timer hooked to it, and it refilled itself every so often, and it was just really didn't work that well. It had bugs in it all the time and had dirt in it all the time. And so this is what I found to be the absolute best. I picked this little water bowl here up at my local feed store. I can't remember exactly what it cost. It's made by Little Giant, and behind the door there it has a little float that keeps it filled, and then it has a garden hose connection. Ran it right up to this hose spigot, and that hose spigot comes off of the pressurized line leading to the valves for my sprinkler. So anytime the sprinklers are turned on in the summertime, which basically is around April 15th or so until around Halloween, this always has pressure to this hose hookup right here. Keeps this thing full. And then I'll come out about once a week and I'll splash the dirt out of it and the water out of it and put a little bit of bleach in it, clean it really well, and then it automatically refills itself, and anytime the goats drink out of it, it works just fine. Then we also had some steers. We've had 3 different steers here on different occasions, and they also have been able to use this no problem. And we also found when the steers were drinking out of it, since they drink a lot more water than the goats did, we found that it actually stayed quite clean without ever being cleaned out, because they would cycle a lot more water through it than the goats do. The goats also have the irrigation ditch and that they can drink out of if they choose to, but I've never really noticed them doing that. So all in all, this is kind of the goats' favorite summertime hobby, is sitting in the shade next to the barn. When I first got the goats, I was, like I said, always worried about making sure I kept them as healthy as possible and doing all the right things that they said you should do, and vaccinating them and doing all those things. And when it came down to it, I really don't have to do anything with them. They pretty much just take care of themselves. Originally I started out with giving them vaccination that the vet had recommended, and I had one of them that reacted really badly to that every time he'd get it, and got quite sick. So I stopped doing that and just let them do their own thing. They don't go anywhere, they don't go to shows, they just hang out here with their herd, and never really has been an issue of any sort. The other thing that I did when I first moved them to where they are now from their old pasture is I was very cautious and made sure they were thoroughly wormed before they came here. And then when they got here, they had a brand new pasture that had never had goats on it in a long time. So there wasn't any worms or anything like that. Worm eggs, I guess you would say, on the pasture for them to get into. So their counts are very, very low on worms. I've had them checked several times by the vet. And so I don't even have to worm them usually. I'll check their counts occasionally just to make sure that they're not getting out of hand or anything. And they've always been just fine. I rotate their pastures between 3 different spaces that they have. Don't ever let the grass get short in those areas. And they do just fine. The biggest thing that I found with them is you never ever let them eat anything off of the ground. So for example, where he's standing right there, that's Larry with the white ears standing up, you would never put hay or anything like that on the ground. Anytime in the winter when they're eating hay, always make sure that it is in a feeder or something that they can't poop on. That way they're not transferring the eggs from the worms into the food and then re-eating them and getting more infected with them. So I never ever ever feed them anything that's on the ground. It's always either handed to them or in a feeder. So all in all, I've really found that the goats are very easy to take care of. I know there's, like I said, a lot of horror stories and terrible things that people always talk about how sick they get, how fragile they are and all that. But really, in my experience, they've been very simple to take care of. As long as they have companions to hang out with and they have enough space and food and water, it's been very, very simple to take care of them in our experience. Other people may have different experiences or different desires with things to do with their goats, but we've always done really well with them and haven't thought that it was a very difficult hobby at all. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell in the lower right corner to be notified of the next video. And we'll see you next time at Milo Farms.